Hello? I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller.
What's good? It's your boy A.D.C. live in HD, and welcome back to another story time. Now, before the video starts, I just wanted to add that since it's the first video of October, I thought for the entire month I'd be doing a bunch of Halloween / spooky themed videos. So you probably could guess that for the next episode of The Critic, I'm going to be reviewing a scary movie, but you'll just have to wait and see. I'll give you a hint. It has to do with candy. So, without further ado, here's a story of all my Halloween nights. First official Halloween I can remember having was back in 2013, coincidentally in the 3rd grade. Now, the reason I'm not talking about 2nd grade is it wasn't really a Halloween because my parents had picked me up and I was in my gym clothes and we didn't really go trick-or-treating. We had just went to my church and we had gotten candy and we just went home, so that doesn't really count. 3rd grade, I dressed up as a pirate. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any pictures and footage of any of the Halloweens I've ever had. And the reason why is because all the photos is like with my parents and I just don't have access to it. But the funny thing is that in 7th grade, I actually was gonna make a vlog and I had footage of like the beginning of it, but I lost it. It's on my other iPhone and I can't really access it anymore. But I will talk about what I dressed up as 7th grade later in the video. Anyways, in 3rd grade at my elementary school, later that day, we had a dance and all the kids were there. All of them were in our costumes and I was breakdancing and it was such a good time. And they had games, they had like hula hoop and my parents were there and it was a pretty good time. Let's fast forward to actual Halloween night. This is a very interesting story and it's one of the main reasons why I wanted to make a video explaining all my past Halloween nights. So, let me set the scene. Imagine, it's around 7 or 8 p.m., the sun's going down, and I'm walking along my apartment complex in my pirate costume with a pillowcase, because obviously I didn't have a bucket. I'm waiting for my sister and her friend because as a group, we were all gonna go trick-or-treating. Now, I obviously didn't have a phone, so if I was across the street, I literally had to walk over to my sister's friend's house and knock on the door to like tell her like, come on, let's go, like the sun's going down, and we gotta get to the house before all the good candy's gone. I was walking around my neighborhood and I used to live in a cul-de-sac, so there was like my apartment complex and then I could like walk across the street and there'd be a bunch of other townhouses. I thought it would be a good idea because they were taking too long to go without them. So I walked across the street and I got to the houses across from me and I was walking along the street and there was a bunch of cars parked and I could see houses on my left and on my right and I kept walking and there was a bunch of townhouses like on a slant on a sidewalk. So I started at the bottom and I like walked along each house until I got to the top. And there was one of the houses that served like candy sized bars and they had like Hershey's, they had Milky Ways, they had Skittles, and I was just very happy. And I had been there like past Halloweens after 3rd grade and that lady just never disappointed. How the houses were set up, where I used to live, there was houses and then you could like walk along the sidewalk. There's like a long sidewalk that would like go in between different sections of the townhouses. So I walked along that sidewalk and then I walked around it and there was another bunch of houses that I don't know the neighbors there because they're like a minute or two away from where I used to live. I walk along there and I continue getting candy. Just letting you know, I am 8 years old in a pirate costume and I'm all alone. There is no one else, it's just me, myself, and I. And I didn't have a phone, so I couldn't contact anybody if I got lost. Luckily, I didn't get lost, but let me explain it further. I'm walking along like another slant of houses and there's these two guys. I don't know if they were in middle school or high school, I can't really like remember, but I think they were in ghost costumes, but they saw I was alone and they was like, hey, do you want to go trick-or-treating with us? And I was like, sure. I had already been alone. So I was walking with them and we were going to each houses and everything was good. We were getting candy and I didn't really think in my mind saying, these are strangers that I'm going trick-or-treating with. Like, I was just wanting to get candy. So then we kept walking and as I was with these teenagers, I think they had met up with their friends. So then this group started forming and there was like 5 of us trick-or-treating at each houses. And then I started to go out the neighborhood and that's when the story starts to pick up. So I go out the neighborhood and I'm still trick-or-treating and this goes on for like a couple hours. By the time I'm fully done trick-or-treating, it's like 9:30, 10. So I was like, oh, it's a school night, or I think it was. So I was like, oh, I gotta go home. So then I walk back to like the neighborhood that I started at, and there's like this party that was going on. And just let all my younger viewers know that this is a bad idea. You should not go trick-or-treating by yourself if you're under 10 years old. I was impatient and I just should have waited for my sisters. Just go with a parent or guardian and make sure that you're safe, or just go with your friends that, you know, like are 10 and older. I go back to the neighborhood, like I was saying, and my sister runs up to me and she's asking me, where have you been? Because it turns out that her and my mom were driving around the car looking for me and they couldn't find me. And you probably guessed, I got punished, and I didn't get all my candy taken away. I just had to give half of it to my brother, and that was it. After I gave half of it, I just got to eat my candy, and obviously I learned a lesson of waiting for my friends, or I should have just waited to go with my sister, or I could have gone with my parents. But don't go trick-or-treating alone when you're 8 or 9 years old. Just make sure that you're with a guardian. And that is about it for my Halloween in 3rd grade. So let's move on to 4th grade. Let's fast forward to Halloween 2015. That year, I had dressed up like an old school gangster. I remember I had a red tie, I had a vertical stripe blazer, it was black and white, and I had pants to match with it. And I remember a couple weeks beforehand shopping for that costume. I was like, man, nobody's gonna have this. I'm gonna be the only kid with the costume. And little did I know, when I went to the bathroom to change, after I got out the stall, I had realized that my friend had the exact same costume I had on. It's just that he had a matching hat. Obviously, I was a little bit mad, but there was more important things to think about that night. So that same day, we had walked around the school grounds and there was parents around and they were taking photos of their children. Yep, that's about it. I think we had a school dance that year as well. It's just that there's not really a lot of details I can add to make the story a bit more interesting. But one thing we did have in elementary school is that if you wanted to, you could like bring candy for like all the kids in the class, and usually that's what kids did, and it was just candy on top of candy on top of candy. And that day in most of our classes, we had done like a little bit of work, but we were watching Halloween movies, we were doing activities, and it was just a fun day. So that year, I obviously learned that if I wanted to go trick-or-treating, I'd have to go with a group of friends. So me and my friends decided that we should go over my friend William's house, and we would group and we would make a plan, and his mom would take us trick-or-treating. So that's exactly what happened. We had gone to another neighborhood that was different from the one I went to last time, and obviously we went as a group. It was pretty fun. I had gotten lots of candy, and my sister had taken a ride with my mom, and she had been dropped off with her friends at another neighborhood. So we weren't even together. At the end of the night, when both of us had gone home, we would dump out our candy, we would count it, and sometimes me and my sister would swap. And I remember one year we had pizza and we were just watching movies, and it was a fun time. And I wanted the candy to last. I was like, oh man, all this candy, it's gonna last me like 2 or 3 months, maybe even the rest of the year. But most of the time it only lasted until mid-November. So yeah, I was obsessed with candy back then, and I'm still obsessed with candy now. So let's go to 5th grade. Now it's Halloween 2016. So it's the last year of elementary school, which means I wanted to go all out. So a couple weeks before Halloween, I was at the store, Spirit Halloween, just like everybody else was, and I had 2 options. I either wanted to be Mario or Elvis Presley. So I put on the Elvis Presley costume, and I looked in the mirror and I showed my parents, and I was like, this is what I want to be for Halloween. I actually didn't even try on the Mario costume. Just like the year before that, we had walked around the school and the parents had taken photos of us, and I remembered that we actually had a school dance, and that year we had done hula hooping, but unfortunately I didn't win. And all of the school dances, they were similar, but this year they had remodeled the gym, so it looked a little different. But that same year, I also went with a group of my friends and we went trick-or-treating. But the Halloween nights were pretty similar. In 4th and 5th grade, I went with the same group of friends. My sister wasn't there because she'd been trick-or-treating with her friends in a different neighborhood. And we both came home, we ate candy, we watched movies, we ate pizza, and that's all. Let's fast forward to Halloween 2017, where this year was different than others. I was in 6th grade, so it was my first year of middle school, and my parents trusted me enough that me and my friends went trick-or-treating all by ourselves with no supervision, and luckily, nothing bad happened. We took our usual route, and this year, I also dressed up as Batman. I had the whole utility belt, I had the mask, and I was breakdancing at the school dance, and it was just a great time. I ended up leaving earlier than I thought I would because the principal came in saying that the party was going to be extended longer, and I thought my mom was going to come to the school, see I wasn't there, and then leave because I still didn't have a phone. That winter, I had turned 12 or 13 years old, and then I got a phone, so I had not had a phone yet. They said that buses were going to come and then take you home, so I took the bus, and it turns out that my mom did know that the party was going to be extended later, so I could have stayed longer, but I didn't. Anyways, during the Halloween night, we were going up towards one of the neighborhoods that we had been to before, and we saw some little kids running out, and they were screaming, so we were like, what's happening? And we're like, oh, they're just scared. And we went to the same area they did, and there was this guy with a fake axe or chainsaw just chasing around kids. He wasn't hurting anybody, he was just scaring them because it was Halloween. And everybody else went over there to get candy, but I stayed back because I was like, I don't know, I was a little scared, I'm not gonna lie. They went over there, but I didn't. The night ended off as usual, but this time I'm with my mom to pick up my sister because she'd been with her friends trick-or-treating around another neighborhood, and she was, I think, Kim Possible or Penny Proud from the Proud family. She was one of those costumes, and that's about it. Now I'll be talking about the final year I dressed up for Halloween, which was in 2018 in the 7th grade. Unlike other years, in 2018 I procrastinated a lot and I did not get a costume until the last moment, where me and my dad took a quick trip to Target and they had no costumes left except for a Han Solo one, and I saw it was my size, so I was like, screw it, so I grabbed it. And that's what I was for that year. I originally planned on filming a vlog for that year, but I never really finished it. All I had was the intro, and I never continued with it because I had pants underneath my costume, and if I wanted to get my phone out, I literally would have to have taken my costume off to get my phone out. So I was like, I don't really want to go through all that effort to film anything. This year was also different because my sister decided to go trick-or-treating with me, and it was me, her, and 2 of her friends, and we went on a slightly different route that I had gone to with me and my friends in the past. After we were done trick-or-treating, I said goodbye to 2 of her friends, and then me and my sister walked home. We dumped out our candy, and I wanted to make sure that it was gonna last, and it actually lasted until mid-December, but that was the last year I went trick-or-treating, and in 2019 I thought I was gonna dress up, but it rained and I just stayed home. But in 2020 things were a little different, so I just went to my friend's house and we watched Halloween movies, we ate candy, and then we actually passed out some candy to some trick-or-treaters that went by, and there was only a couple of people. But this year in 2021, I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna do. I might go over to my same friend's house and do what I did last year, or maybe I might do something different. Who knows? But anyways, that's gonna wrap up this story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below, and also comment some video ideas you'd like to see for this year for October. And I'm out. Peace.
Hop inside an Audi, then I did the dash. Shawty know I only care about the cash. Big guns, big sticks, big rash. She asked me how I got it, said I got it like that. I get it when I want it, smoking marijuana. Keep it hotter than a sauna, smoking till the sun up. They asked me if I have bands, I said bring your phones up. They tested me to a challenge, and they didn't show up.